And now Chuck Marino is a former Department of Homeland Security advisor, and he's now CEO of Sentinel Security Solutions. He joins us now live. Chuck, thank you so much for being here.
Good to see you, Natasha.
Great to see you as always. And Congress passed a bill that would provide security protection to justices and their families. And we know President Biden signed that measure into law last month. Do you think the bill goes far enough? Will it keep our justices safe in your view?
Yeah, I think it does. Look, I mean, we got lucky here that we're talking about a lone actor. He had the means to travel. He had the means to obtain weapons. And he had the means to formulate a plan, the mental means, capacity to formulate a plan. But luckily, he was not part of a larger organization or plot, say, to simultaneously attack 3 or 4 justices at the same time. So he chose Justice Kavanaugh's house as the first target. He was deterred by the presence of U.S. Marshals and phoned it in on himself and gave himself up to police. We're very lucky in the sense because this otherwise could have ended very violently. But I think the mechanisms that are in place now that the bill provided for, not just security for the justices, but also their residences and family members, does go far enough. And that's what they require, 24-hour security that's robust.
I appreciate that context. And, you know, the Biden administration defended the rights of protesters, of course, those rights being protected by the Constitution. In your eyes, how do we balance free speech and civil rights with the safety of our public officials?
Well, you know, there's nothing to say that protests cannot take place, but very specifically, there is a federal law in the books that prevents protesting in front of the residences of justices to free them of potential intimidation and threats. That law has not been enforced by the Department of Justice. I believe it should. Part of a robust security plan is around the residences, and you need a secure perimeter there to make sure that you're keeping them safe. But you can still protest in designated areas outside of that secured area. So people are allowed to practice their First Amendment rights. We encountered this very often when providing security to the president and vice president. So it is a balance. They are entitled to practice their rights of the First Amendment, but the laws need to be enforced that are on the books. And DOJ so far has not stepped up to do that.
And if we can benefit from your experience, did you ever think you would see the day where Supreme Court justices feared for their lives? And, you know, context is important. Have things truly reached a fever pitch in this moment, or are we forgetting other moments in American history?
Yeah, you know, there's been moments in the past, but it has gotten worse, unfortunately. And a lot of it is tied to the political rhetoric. Look, the suspect admitted as much. It was tied to the leaked opinion attached to Roe v. Wade. We know that Democratic leadership came out very vocally and, in my opinion, irresponsibly with some of the things that they said. And what both sides of the aisle need to realize is that your words have different impacts on different types of people, especially if we're not dealing with somebody that's in the right frame of mind. And those words potentially here could have been a call to action or perceived as a call to action by the suspect to take some type of action to right what was a perceived wrong, according to what some of the leadership were saying in the Democratic Party. So both Democrats and Republicans, this is applicable to them. The political rhetoric needs to be toned down because what's going on right now is not what we should be seeing in this country. And nobody that wants to serve in government or on the Supreme Court should be fearful of their safety and security because of the positions that they hold.
Chuck Marino, I always leave feeling more informed after we speak. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Natasha. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.